Cast your mind back to last January when Graham Potter had just got the West Ham job. He got it quite early. I think he got it on the 9th of January. Julian Lopetegui was sacked. Potter got the job. He had half a training session. And then we played an FA Cup game on the 10th of January against Aston Villa. At that point, Potter was said to be looking at his squad, assessing it. But what he did, one of the first things he did was pull the plug on any additional bid for a midfielder called Ezekiel Banzuzi. Banzuzi's Dutch midfielder went on to sign for RB Leipzig. But what was said was Graham Potter wanted to have a look at the squad, assess the squad, and not bring somebody in who'd been scouted by Tim Stein. You can totally understand that, by the way. But I only make the point to tell you that Graham Potter had a long time between coming in at West Ham and then recalling James Ward-Prowse. Now, the thing about James Ward-Prowse is it wasn't like he got his feet under the carpet, Potter, and then thought, I really rate James Ward-Prowse, bring him back from Nottingham Forest immediately. Forest would have given him back straight away. He wasn't in the Forest team. Sometimes he wasn't even in the Forest matchday squad. Forest were flying, right? But we didn't actually recall James Ward-Prowse until the 3rd of February. So there were a lot of games after that Aston Villa game. I think the next one was Fulham. We played a whole series of games throughout January, busy period, with no need for James Ward-Prowse at all. And it was only right at the end where, for a bit of squad padding, on the very last day you could sign people, that Graham Potter said, you know what, bring him back. Let's bring him back. No argument from Nottingham Forest. The loan deal was null and void. James Ward-Prowse came back. I only make this point, and I'm labouring this point, to tell you that James Ward-Prowse was an afterthought. So I'm not entirely sure how he's got himself into the position that he is now. Now, you may well think that actually as soon as he brought him back, James Ward-Prowse got into the team and he kept the place. This is not what happened. In fact, James Ward-Prowse didn't start against Brentford. He didn't start against Arsenal. He didn't start a game for West Ham. I think he didn't start a game until the Arsenal game, actually. But something like the 25th of February or something like that. So it wasn't like he brought him in and he really impressed in training. It was still the usual suspects. So Edson Alvarez was being played in midfield. That sort of stuff was happening. So it's very much an afterthought from Graham Potter. West Ham beat Arsenal. And then since then, he's been in the team. It's almost like he can't be shifted. To such an extent now, where we've got this game coming up today against Tottenham, people are thinking there's just no way he's going to drop James Ward-Prowse. I just laboured a point to say that I find it fascinating as somebody who probably wasn't even wanted, has found himself into a position where we're going to find out today whether he's undroppable or not. Now, you can understand any player becoming undroppable under a manager if their performances are outstanding. But the thing is with Ward-Prowse, they just haven't been. As I've mentioned on a number of occasions, I think he's lost his twinkle, he's lost his X factor, which is, used to get that thing, James Ward-Prowse creates chances, creates assists from corners, stuff like that. So basically you'd put up with the, maybe the lack of pace. He always puts in 100% effort. I'm not a big one for the 110%, but if it was possible to put in 110% effort, Ward-Prowse would be that guy. But from open play, he's not really creating very much. He's got a reputation of a safe passer. I would suggest even recently that has deserted him. I think I've noticed a few times he's passing the ball into touch. He's certainly putting some of his teammates in danger with a few hospital passes recently. But that's not the biggest factor that I've really noticed a drop-off in James Ward-Prowse. It's actually his failure to win the loose ball. He still gets run past. He's not defensively switched on. But it's the loose ball. He just doesn't win it. He seems to be second to pretty much everything. That wasn't happening before, and it wasn't happening when he was first brought in under David Moyes. So not only is the current version of James Ward-Prowse worse because his output from set pieces is not as good, but actually it's worse just through open play as well. And I'm really struggling to look and watch him during the game and find anything that is compelling and that would make the manager want to put him in there. Because just hard work isn't enough. I'd expect everybody to work hard and put in a shift. You've got to have something, and I don't know what it is. And I just think we're going to find out an awful lot today. Because Potter's team sheet is going to be really telling. I think the first one today is going to be the formation. And then how the players are deployed from within that formation. It's just so much. There's so much stuff going on there today. But now he has genuine reason not to pick James Ward-Prowse. Firstly, because his performances have not been up there. Well, not from anything I've seen, not from any metric I've seen, and not from anything with the eye test either. But not just because of that, because they're alternatives. And in particular, Soungoutou Magassa. I do think whatever happens, Mateus Fernandes starts today. But that's not really the question, is it? It's who starts next to Fernandes. I say next to him, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts more or less the same team that he started against Forest, which would mean Fernandes sort of starting on the left-hand side. And if that's the case, then you've got sort of this free role, if you want, for Lucas Paqueta. It would also mean if that's the case, then Crescencio Somerville is not starting. But it would also mean you'd have James Ward-Prowse and Thomas Soucek in the middle. And he doesn't need to do it. This is going to be really telling, and I think it's fascinating because, make no mistake about it, Graham Potter's job is still very much under threat today, and I'll explain why in just a second. Before I do, please point in the direction of today's video sponsor, which is Surfshark. Have you got a VPN? Have you? If you haven't, you're going to need one. Don't take my word for it. Go and Google why you might need a VPN. Once you've done that and decided you do need one, come back here and take advantage of our wonderful discount that we got for Hammers Chat subscribers. Basically, you get the first 4 months free on your Surfshark account, and you get a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you get a chance to look at it. If you don't like it, you can just cancel it. No problem at all. It's a plan that covers your mobile phone, which you might be watching this on, your laptop, your TV, your Fire Stick, anything like that. And what it does is it basically encrypts your browsing data, and also it allows you to change your geolocation. And that doesn't just allow you to access maybe content that you wouldn't be able to access ordinarily in your location, but from a security point of view, it's really, really important, particularly on your phone, particularly with encrypted passwords, and even just simple stuff like using a banking app when you're out using public 5G or you're using out on a public Wi-Fi, something like that. You don't want anybody getting all that sensitive information, certainly anyone hacking your PayPal account or anything like that. So, the link is in the description below. We've got a discount code, which is HammersChat, all one word, or you can just click that link there. It's surfshark.com/HammersChat. Go and do your research, give it a whirl, and take advantage of that discount there. So a big game for Graham Potter today. Win it. We did our breakfast show over on Patreon earlier on. Gio said if we win it, we go up to 7th. I think at that point, if we win today, West Ham becomes, it just becomes somebody else's story. It doesn't even become a story at all as far as the mainstream media are concerned, and particularly as far as Graham Potter's job is concerned. In many respects, it would be Thomas Frank who was under the microscope. Daniel Levy's pick as manager. Certainly the last performance. Well, actually the last result, but the last 2 performances have said to be underwhelming. They're not particularly keen with the brand of football, but look, this is Tottenham, right? You know, this is something. You know, to be fair, it's not just Tottenham. We've seen it at West Ham. You know, they had a defensive manager in before. They didn't like the brand of football. They get an attacking manager in. They don't like the attacking manager because they did end up winning last season, didn't they? And then they get rid of him, and now they got a defensive manager, and maybe they don't like it. But Thomas Frank's under scrutiny, and it's certainly there's going to be questions asked as to whether he can combine Premier League football with Champions League football, because they start their Champions League journey against Villarreal in 3 days' time. So the story ceases to become West Ham, and I think the story, very much becomes, or one of the stories becomes Thomas Frank, and it becomes Tottenham. So the switch is very, very clear. And I mentioned this when I did a preview. I do. Teams that get relegated tend not to win back-to-back games, and certainly not too often. And also the other thing, I know maybe Liam Delap bucks the trend, but generally they don't have goal scorers. And I think the way West Ham have got, obviously, Jarrod Bowen, and if Lucas Paqueta carries on scoring. Certainly not two players that regularly hit the back of the net. So I think it would probably kill all that relegation talk, and that would be very, very welcome. I desperately want West Ham to win this. If we lose it, then it's relegation talk again. The pressure's on Potter because there's so much pressure on the board at the moment. Make no mistake about it, Potter will be going long before they walk away or resign their executive positions or whatever it is. If anyone's got to go, it's going to be Graham Potter. And as much as Karen Brady appointed him, if it's basically Karen Brady getting a load more flack or Graham Potter going, even if he is a family friend, he's going. Make no mistake about it. So this is really, really vital, which I think is really important for Potter to carry on doing what he started, basically. And when I say what he started, I don't mean since he took the job back in January. I mean what feels like he started a game against Nottingham Forest. Which brings me back to the start of the video. There was such a lot of talk when Potter came in, and particularly, we were crap last season once Potter came in. I mean, it could be argued that, well, Potter was no better than Lopetegui, right? Different, yes. Better, no. I'm not saying Lopetegui was better than Potter, but, you know, there's nothing between them. Nothing, fag paper between them, honestly. And I think a lot of people were saying, well, wait until he gets his own players. And particularly the midfield is dysfunctional. I wouldn't disagree with that, by the way. The midfield was dysfunctional. The midfield was the biggest problem with West Ham. So wait until he gets his own players, then you'll see. Well, that time is now. Because now it will be a very, very different argument. If Graham Potter gets this wrong, and let's say he picks James Ward-Prowse, who I'm aware has become like almost the pantomime villain for this video, but I'm not making this stuff up. It's a bit of a weird situation with Ward-Prowse. He looks very much to me like he's dropped off a cliff. I thought the last couple of seasons the Premier League's got faster, and if that's the reason for it happening, well, then so be it. Then that's the reason. But he does look off the pace. But it's a very, very different conversation if you have now that West Ham's midfield don't function. You no longer have that go-to mitigation or excuse that Potter, we'll wait until he gets his players. Well, he got his players. He's got his players. If he really wants to in this game, because make no mistake about it, Fernandes can play as a number 8. You play Magassa as the number 6, you play Fernandes as the number 8, and you play Paqueta as a number 10. There's your midfield. That's got a bit of everything in it. You play that, you play Bowen on the right, play Somerville on the left, play Wilson up front, pick your back four. There is no excuse. If that's what he can do, and that's what he can do, if West Ham lose because we've been slow and ponderous in midfield and can't string a pass together, because he's chosen to play, for example, Ward-Prowse and Rodriguez, then there's no excuse left. It doesn't become a case that when Potter gets his midfielders, we will be better. It becomes a case of, well, this is stubborn Potter. He just will continue to pick the players that are not able to function in the Premier League. It's going to be really, really interesting. So I think this is, I wouldn't say must, when I say must not lose, does that mean I think he gets the sack tonight? No. But he doesn't want to be losing this one. But honestly, it could really pivot this. And I'm looking forward to the game. I am absolutely looking forward to the game here. And my prediction was 2-1 for this, but nothing would surprise me. West Ham winning would not surprise me. West Ham shipping loads of goals would not surprise me. They've got a frightening attack. As I mentioned before, I really like Xavi Simons, who they've signed there, and they've got some really good players. But it's going to be interesting. We might not come forward as much as Tottenham want us to come forward. It's going to be just absolutely fascinating. If we win, I'm going to be buzzing. I tell you what, absolutely buzzing to win this game today. So anyway, join myself and Gio. 25 minutes past 4, as me nan used to say, 5 and 20 minutes past 4. Be an hour and 5 minutes before kickoff. We will talk you through the team sheets. We'll have a little cheeky little bet. And then take you up towards the start of the game. And then we'll both be doing a review afterwards. So, yeah, lots of content on Hammers Chat today. Enjoy the build up to the game. Got a couple of hours of time left. Early kick-off. Enjoy the early kick-off. Enjoy your football. Enjoy what you're doing. Probably being dragged out. Do a bit of shopping, something like that. We'll see you 25 past 4 for the build up to the game.